Good morning, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well today. Hope you guys are having a good morning. It is, I believe, December 7th this morning. So I figured I'm going to do one this morning just to kind of talk about a number of these things. I'm trying to combine a lot of these topics. You guys are making some really good points and that we need to kind of talk about and kind of share more. So I'm going to continue to kind of focus on these a little bit today. Shout outs to a bunch of different people as well, so I'll probably put a list together again and use that one time, maybe I'll try to do it once a week just to kind of recognize our great viewers, and we're over 1,000, almost 1,050, I think, something like that. So thank you guys so much, and I really I really appreciate it. And I think one of the things that a few of the people have talked about is that how a lot of people get on YouTube and, they're not really humble and they're kind of show off and arrogant. And I don't know where that comes from, to be honest with you. I think that it's probably more of the evil one talking. I think that, we have to recognize that we all make mistakes and we're human, and that we have to have God forgiving us for our sins. And so we can't afford to kind of be arrogant. But I was many years ago, so I understand where that comes from a little bit. And I think that we have to kind of make sure we realize that we are under God's rule, and it's important to kind of follow those things and not necessarily believe what society tells us most of the time. And I think that's something that's important to recognize. So once again, another good comment, and I think, and I'll have to go back and look at it, and I'll probably focus on this one at a different point. It might have been Eduardo, so I want to shout out to Eduardo if it is. Talking about the idea that women, I think it was based on one of the other videos, women will not get into relationships without having sex. And obviously without having sex, they're not going to, unless it's procreation, and obviously that may not be something that the woman wants. And I think it's a fair point you're making. A lot of women nowadays, they want to have intercourse and those type of things, and it's a little different than it was back in the old days. But we still have the situation where it is your energy to release, and you have to kind of set the rules for this. It's not the other person that's going to go ahead and set the rules. You have to set the rules. And I think certainly if you find somebody and you're something that's important, and the woman will take your lead, you say, okay, we're not going to do this unless we have, procreation for children. And you have to kind of decide. I think it's a decision between two people. But once again, I go back to the whole idea that we talked about urges and all that, it's important to recognize that what you're doing is losing energy. You're not going to be as attractive to females, in my opinion, if you're losing energy. I think this is a very real thing, as we have so many people who've kind of done testimonials about what's happened to them and do this. This is a very real thing to me. And I've seen the difference over the last couple of years, and it's just astounding. I think I've been 920 days or something like that. And to me, it's an astounding difference between what it was and what it is now. And whether you want to call that a placebo, there probably is something to that with confidence, but there's also something to the real biological feeling that I have, and how different I feel than I did when I was 3 years ago, or close to 3 years ago. So I think there's something real to it, and I think the attraction is very real. Now, what they're attracted to is probably energy, or maybe they see God in you. There could be a lot of things like that. But I think if you find the right kind of person, that's not going to be a problem. And I think nowadays, obviously we have a lot of changes in our society, but what really comes down to it is it's your choice, my friends. So you have to kind of choose the partner you're with, the person you're with. But again, remember, you don't want to lose your energy. You're a warrior, and you want to keep battling every day to keep that energy, because you become stronger and stronger. And that's going to be the topic of our discussion today a little bit here. I'm going to combine a bunch of things together. I'm going to shout out to Optical Man. He mentioned that the longer you retain, the stronger your vibration, the better your frequency will reach out to more women and also to more success, and we'll talk about that. Can someone sense the intimacy of imitation? Can someone sense the intimidation fear? And Oscar mentioned that. So we'll kind of talk about those two in combination a little bit. Age, Nizar talked about age and acceleration. We'll kind of bring that into the fold a little bit too on this one. And I think those are the three that I want to kind of focus on today a little bit. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about all three of these a little bit. So I had a couple questions from Nizar talking about age and the acceleration of those type of things in age. And I do think that experienced people, and I guess I call people with age experienced people, tend to have a little different viewpoint because they've seen a lot of things. And so when you look at men and women, they look for different things as time goes on. And it's not just the physical attraction. It's a lot of things beyond that, whether it's values or communication skills, all those type of things that you put together with that. All those type of things make a big difference when it comes to really focusing on what you want in a partner. And again, guys, with semen retention, you should not be on the streets, chasing women around. You shouldn't be on the streets trying to have multiple relationships. That's just going to bring you down the wrong path. And that just leads to the same thing with pictures and all that kind of stuff. So the less you focus on this, the more you're not going to really want to have a lot of females in your life, and you're going to accept it as the compliments they are, of course, but also recognize that your purpose and the reason you're getting a lot of attraction is because you're shooting out that aura energy. I think that one of the things that was a great comment, I guess I'll go back to it a little bit too, Scott Allen mentioned that aura is, part of the word of authority, and I like that. They're looking at you as an authority figure. You have that authority aura, that energy, and that strength. And as Optical Man talks about, the longer you retain, and I've seen this, and he's on a long streak himself, so shout out to you, my friend. The stronger your vibration, and your vibration is stronger. You pick that energy up, and I go back to the whole premise. Now, whether you believe this premise or not, the 1%, I think, believe it, but if you're listening the first time, we're talking about energy forces within a person. And those type of things, chakras, things you call that, you could believe in that or not. There is some research that shows that we are made of energy. In the laws of physics, we're made of energy, can't be destroyed, can't be created. So you're made of energy. Okay, you're just energy floating around. And you would think that the stronger the energy becomes, the better off you are. And if you're losing energy, then you're not going to be as strong. And so that would make sense to me. If you're strong enough to, when you lose energy, to create a child, that's a very powerful energy. And if you're just talking in terms of energy, thinking about this, it makes common sense. Now, you have to go back to thinking outside the box and thinking about things you can't see. And obviously, energy is something you can't see, but doesn't mean it's not there. If you're sitting there driving, this is the old story in communications, if you're driving around and a tree falls in the next state, is it really happening? Of course it happens. You may not be perceiving it, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And I think that's the whole key to what we're talking about. That stuff is there. And so the energy level is there. And this is when we talk about these type of things, that age doesn't really matter that much, especially if your chakras are moving in a great speed. And we talked about that when it comes to Kendler's book, Fountain of Youth, and trying to get that exercises and doing the retention transmutation, so your energy continues to flow and you continue to kind of look about the same age as you do when you started this. And so I can attest to that fact that I feel like I'm still back in the same age when I started this, and this was 1998, so I was about 35, something like that. What was I, 61? So I was close to 37, 36 years old. So and people still comment to me that's I tend to look in my 40s. So I believe it works. I'm 61 now, and it's been 20 years, almost 25 years later. So it's really an amazing type of thing. But I was missing that sixth exercise that Kendler talks about, and that's transmuting. And once I started doing that about 920 days ago, now all of a sudden my vibration is much higher, and I'm attracting other people. And you're going to continue doing that. Optical Man is correct, in my opinion. You're going to reach out to frequencies and draw people in. Doesn't mean you're going to draw everybody in, no. And you don't really want to draw a lot of people in anyway. Now, I say that, I'll backtrack a little bit on that. Of course you want to draw people in when it comes to success. You're going to have opportunities in the business world, in the relationship world. All these type of things will happen because you're basically shooting out that energy, and you're going to be drawing things like a magnet. You're going to draw like energy, and most people will be receptive to that. Now, there are going to be people that ignore you. Of course, that happened to me yesterday. I had some people really positive and, once again, doing the same types of things, and other people just walk by. That's going to happen. You're sending out frequency. The stronger you get, however, the more people you come in. Now, I say that, but you also have to realize there's responsibility to that too. What are you going to do with that attention? The key thing is to continue with your goals, helping people out, being in a loving, caring way for people just in general, respecting people, helping people, going ahead and doing things to serve people, to help people. As a warrior, you have to, our two main mottos, provide and protect. Police used to use that all the time. And those type of things are things that are really important. And so when you look at these type of things, you're trying to protect people, whether it's your family, whether it's your girlfriend, wife, what it might be. Now, if that person doesn't want that, well, that's going to be, that's going to be their loss in the long run. It's, I think that's why you become really picky, and you're going to have that opportunity because there's going to be a lot of people flocking to you in different ways. It's a very flattering thing. As Optical Man talks about, they're going to stare, they're going to look at you certain ways, they're going to wink at you, they're going to be very friendly with you, they're going to flirt with you in those certain ways, and you have to kind of respond to that, say, okay, what am I really doing here? Now, if you're looking for that one person, and you're just getting on retention journey on our train here, on our retention train, and you're lonely, and we talked about, I think Christian talked about this, and I'll talk about this in another one. If you're lonely and you're needing to have someone in companionship, that's wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And this can be used for that. But again, make your choices not based on the looks, because looks come and go. And in many cases, men, just by age alone and experience, they become a lot more attractive and more secure as time goes on anyway, even without retention. So you're going to have a lot of opportunities. The key is to figure out what you're looking for. Have those things in your mind. And if you guys are interested, I could probably talk about experiences and research that I've done on communication and relationships and men and women, if we want to talk about and go that direction. But I think we're talking more about the retention here, and this is kind of what we do on this channel, and focusing really on looking at how that retention increases your vibration and increases your attraction. But you have to be responsible when that happens, and I think that's kind of the thing. Now, can you intimidate people, as Oscar's talking about a little bit too? Yes, they can sense your intimidation, because you're looking at them, and it's almost like I guess the analogy I could make here, and I'm an old comic book fan. I still have a great collection of comic books, and I love Marvel. I do buy some DC once in a while, but I like Marvel and the old ones, especially the 12-cent ones, and even some of the 10-cent ones that I have. And I like the comic book in this sense. I like the hero called Cyclops. Cyclops has got these beams coming out of his almost like Superman does the same thing too. The beams coming out of the eyes. And that to me indicates that energy. Now, we don't just see beams coming out of people's eyes, but the energy is felt. You may not see that, but you sense it. When you look at somebody, that person can be intimidating. And it could be men or women. And you have to understand that you have that power because you have an overabundance of energy, right? Now, once again, you have to use this in the right purpose. It's not something you're going to try to intimidate people. You may have to do that once in a while. If you get some men, especially men, will be jealous or upset, you might have to give them a stare. You might have to give them that type of look. You have to kind of decide upon the situation. Of course, you don't want to get into fights and things like that. But you're going to have to give them kind of stare because you're going to have to push back and not get bullied over yourself. And it's very difficult to do that with a person of retention because a person of retention gives off that aura of strength and domination and the masculine energy that is needed to provide and protect. And I think that's something that's really a key type of thing. So I think Oscar makes a good point. We did one on seeing the ghost, but yeah, a lot of people will look at you like they don't know what they're looking at. They have not seen this before. There's very few men that in this world now that are able to control themselves. And to that man, get all the attraction. Because women are trying to figure out, and men are trying to figure out what is going on with this guy. Why is this guy looking different? Why is this guy got a certain aura? Why is he an attractive person? I don't care if you're, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. You're going to get that same type of reaction because it's the energy you have. And if you keep that energy going and you do the kind of exercises, you do the types of things we'll talk about later, another video on how to augment your retention, things like that. I've had a few questions on that type of thing. We'll go back and look at that as well. So it's important to us. One of the things that we'll also talk about is the fact that God identifies with the eagle and the lion, and that is really indicating that that's a strength. Now both, and especially the lion is not really the strongest person in the jungle. They may not be the smartest person in the jungle, right? They may not be the most athletic person in the jungle, but they're the most feared. And why is that? Well, they have that beast mentality that people sense that strength. They know that strength. And there's always those famous pictures of female lions around the lion, and the lion just could care less. And these females are trying so much to get his attention. And this is the way men should be, not the other way around where you're just chasing women around. So, all right, guys, until next time, you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. God bless you guys.